Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter. Joining me is Connor.
Yes, it is.
So enthusiastic.
I'm here. Make the most of it.
One of the first days you were back on, one of the comments we got was so much passion and optimism coming to the show with the ginger.
I was still very tired when we recorded that. I had not had very much sleep.
Don't make excuses.
I'm not.
Excuses. I want results, right? Results, damn it.
Tell what you can get. I show up.
Oh dear. Standards are so low. We talk about DC shows, and coming up on this week's show, we have
A full slate.
Do we have 6 shows?
We do.
We have 6. Did I watch 6 shows? Okay, here's where we found out what I didn't watch. We have, in order, Titans, Supergirl, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, The Flash, and Black Lightning. I did watch all those. Good. Just check.
So there's going to be a week where one of us doesn't.
Nah, we'll double check. We'll see that, because the ones that we'd like to forget to watch are the ones that we watch together. So those aren't possible.
But I feel like it'll be really easy at some point to just assume that I've watched all of them, and I'd be like, "Oh, I actually missed one," without noticing, because there's so many of them at once.
Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. A little bit of news things first before we get into the shows, but we won't waste too much time before we do that. First up, Alan Tudyk's been cast as the Joker in the Harley Quinn animated show, which is coming late next year.
It's cool. I like Tudyk. I like him doing voice roles.
I like Tudyk a lot as well. He's Bosch. He's a leaf in the wind.
He is.
Watch how he soars. So no, that's good news. And then the other thing, and I wanted to bring this up, even though we don't talk about Gotham here. There was an image came out this week of the first look at their Bane, because they're doing Bane in their final season.
Allegedly, they claim this is Bane.
And it looks like it looks like someone took Tom Hardy's Bane, which I'm fine with. I have no problems with how Tom Hardy's Bane looks, but they took that and said, we're going to add in a lot of 90s cyberpunk with no budget, and it came out with this. There's like some sort of weird plasticky front to it.
Yeah, the translation to what you just said is, we're going to take Nolan's Bane and make it shit.
Sure, yes. But it looks like something that would be in like a direct-to-TV movie in 1995. But they thought it was cool because it was shiny.
It does. I can almost see the lights on the tubes.
It's atrocious. That looks like something I'd expect to see like a student to knock up if they're doing a student Batman movie. We'll just do this in a little kind of Bane-ish.
But yeah, and you give them a pass because it's a student film.
Yes. I'd just be impressed that they didn't just have them in a T-shirt, quite frankly, if it's a student film. But this is laughable. I have never felt quite as much embarrassment for a professional production's image than this. And what gets me is this wasn't a leak or anything like that. This was someone from the show saying, "This is a first look at our Bane," all enthusiastic, like they were proud of it, and I don't get it. So. Hey-ho. What to mention it, though.
They get paid to be proud of it, or to pretend to be proud of it.
I wanted to mention it, though. And we're not going to talk about it. I was going to bring up some set photos of the crossover, but Connor intervened and said they might be considered as spoilers for people who are trying to avoid plot details, and I think that's fair. So instead of actually mentioning what's in the set photos, which are interesting, I will just warn you that there are set photos out there spreading throughout the internet showing characters that you might not want to know that are in there.
All we'll say is it's pretty damn cool, and it's left me very excited.
I'll just say this could be a mess. It could be a glorious mess.
Oh, I'm expecting a mess at this point. I really am, but I'm okay with that.
But yeah, so no, just warning. Set photos are abound because they're shooting the thing right now. So without further ado, right, that was that, because we had to split the episode in 2 last week for the audio feed because it went so long. We've got over the news at the 5-minute mark, just under the 5-minute mark.
We're doing good.
So we're setting the pace up, we're setting the tone for the breakneck speed we're going on, even though we have more shows than last week. But forget that. Don't tell me the odds. And I know that's a Star Wars reference. I don't even care. We're just moving on.
Okay, Titans.
Season 1, Episode 2. It's called Hawk and Dove. No points for guessing who makes their debut in Episode 2 of Titans.
Do you know what bothers me a little bit about this title?
Yes.
I learned earlier that I think Episode 10 is actually going to be their origin story. I'm like, why wouldn't you call that one Hawk and Dove? Just call this one something else. If that, like they were talking about Episode 10 being like a mini movie, like it's just their origin story and nothing else.
I don't know. It depends. I mean, I think the title list did come out, but
no, I didn't go all the way to the end though. We only had like the first 7 titles before.
Also, there's less episodes than there used to be as well.
Yeah, I'm seeing only like 11 now, 12.
Originally, it was maybe 13, and then it went to 12. But now I'm hearing 11, so I think they've actually cut. Yeah,
I was hearing 11 from some sources this week, and then Young Justice starting the following week. What I was going to say is if there's 11 now, which it seems like there is, and 10 is this side story of the Hawk and Dove origin, which I know because I think it was the showrunner, was talking about it in an interview. That's an interesting placement for that, like the one before the end.
Must be relevant. Yeah, apparently it's not so much that the last 2 episodes have been scrapped. There was rumours of what the last 2 episodes were containing, and I won't get into it because it is super spoilery if it turns out to be true. But apparently the scuttlebutt might be that they've just moved them to be the start of season 2 as opposed to being the last 2 episodes of the season, which makes me curious as to how episode 11 feels when it ends. Like, does it feel at the end of a season? Does it feel like we've got a full meal? Did they rework it in any way to make it feel like a finale? If that's what's happened, because again, it's all speculation at this point. It's just rumors, but
yeah,
curious.
This is weird.
Curious, but yeah. So Titans episode 2. There was no Beast Boy, no Starfire. It focused entirely on Dick and Raven, and of course Hawk and Dove, who they go to see, and we get introduced to Hawk and Dove, and they're actually trying to get out of the vigilante business, and they're trying to like steal money from like mob bosses and stuff to fund their retirement. Very heroic, but so here's the thing. One of the big things of this episode is that it kind of confirms that the arc for Dick this year is going to be that he has gotten very violent, and he doesn't like that he's become this, and he's going to like come back from it. He's going to come back from the edge, as it were.
Yes. Did we say full spoilers?
So, well, yeah, it's always full spoilers for every episode, but yeah.
Yeah, but someone might be jumping on, just so they know.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about shows, leave spoilers for the shows, and everything up until this point in each show. So, right, and that's fine. I sort of thought that in the first episode, I thought, okay, sure, right, if that's going to be the arc. I mean, I don't necessarily think this is the arc I would give to Dick Grayson. I don't necessarily think of him as someone who goes to the edge like this, but if that's what you're doing, and he's rediscovering where his balance is, then fine. The problem is that when he eventually suits up in this second episode, he suits up as Robin to go and help Hawk and Dove, who are in over their heads, and they will almost get killed. Robin shows up and starts beating the shit out of everyone. In fact, not only that, he stabs a guy in the dick with these like shears. Probably the scariest pair of scissors I've ever seen in my life. It's like 2 butcher knives on a hinge. Yeah. And he stabs a guy in the dick. He's stabbing people with his throwing iron and everything else.
Right in the eye.
Right in the eye, you're right. And there's blood splattering all over the place. And, Hawk, who traditionally is a pretty aggressive dude, and that's in the comics as well. To be fair to this show, he is pretty spot on for characterization.
Hawk might be the most accurate character.
And he turns to Dove and says, that guy's a psychopath. And that confirms what we were saying about, okay, this is what Dick's arc's going to be, because the other characters are now reacting to him in this way. Here's the thing, though. The scene of him in the flashback with Hawk and Dove fighting bad guys still felt pretty violent, and there was still blood splattering all over the place. It wasn't as violent as this one.
Like there was still dudes dying.
It wasn't as extreme as this with the dick stabbing and the eye stabbing, but it was still really bloody. And even when Hawk and Dove were fighting on their own, Dove comes in at the start, our big entrance. She's like slashing people with claws.
It's the wings. It's when the wings slide round and just slice people, and they drop. They're dead.
They look dead. But they say he's a psychopath, and I'm like, that'd be a fine point. My problem with the episode though is that every other bit of fighting we see looks almost as violent as this scene did. So what are they talking about? Why do you think he's a psychopath? You look almost as psychotic
the
yourselves.
As well, like, okay, we're seeing all this fighting with Hawk and Dove, and we're seeing their level. Hawk especially. And if he's saying, okay, no, that dude's a psychopath, and you're showing me all episode how crazy this guy is, I don't feel like it's that much further. Like you say, it's...
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's,
yeah.
Like him saying that should be, oh, even he thinks he's a crazy guy. But the problem is there's no contrast in the scenes. Sure, the scene where they watch him fight later on and they see how bad he's become, it does have those couple of really specific moments of ultra-violence.
Yeah.
But everything else still feels super violent. The way it's shot, the way they have blood spraying in every scene. And keep in mind, I'm someone who loves blood splatter. I love this in the right context, but in this show where he's supposed to be a hero of some kind, or at least the others are supposed to still be heroes and not fighting this way, every fight scene feels like this. There's no contrast.
The problem is they don't look bad.
No, it's fairly well shot. Like, it looks good.
Yeah, it's just, it feels wrong.
If this was Punisher or something like that, then I'd be into it.
It doesn't feel out of place for, like, the Daredevil show on Netflix.
Maybe not the dick stabbing.
Maybe not the dick stabbing.
The dick stabbing, the eye stabbing, no. But the rest of the blood splatter, sure. Yeah. The general tone of the violence, sure. Yeah,
and just the style of it overall. The key moments is over the top for even that. Don't get me wrong.
So that's a problem. I still think Dick's great when he's not being Robin, though. He still feels like Dick.
Yeah.
He gets Alfred to wire him money in this episode, and we have some history. So he had a bit of a history with Dove, which Hawk knows about, and as soon as he sees him in present day, he's like, "What the hell's he doing here? Get away from Dove, you prick!" And let's be honest, Hawk. I don't know how intentional it was, but he was making me laugh a lot in this episode.
Yeah, me too. But I was drinking, so.
Yeah, you're a bad judge of character here. No, there was a lot of times where he just had a line about how Dick was being, or about the girl being, about Raven being weird or whatever, and every time it always just landed with the right amount of bluntness, where I was kind of enjoying his presence. Also, it's worth mentioning, the show kind of won me over though, because it took a political stance that was very important for this show to take. I feel that not enough shows and films are taking a stance on.
Before we get to what this stance actually is, I would like to point out there is comics evidence proving this is a betrayal of the character.
Continuity comics. We have rebooted the entire DC universe multiple times since that comic.
Yeah,
so shut up.
That's not really a continuity.
It's a continuity. We make it very clear in this episode that Dick Grayson, and Raven for that matter, do not support pineapple on pizza, and therefore the show has been redeemed and is one of the greatest shows ever made. Thank you very much.
All I'm saying is that was a Robin move, not Dick.
No. That was Dick Grayson. That was proof that there's hope still yet in him. That was proof that he can come back from this. That he's not that too far gone.
Pineapple on pizza is excellent. Pineapple improves everything.
No, it improves literally nothing. It devalues anything it touches, because then the stank of pineapple is left on it.
No. Pineapple juice is excellent. Pineapple juice in cocktails is fantastic. Pineapple on pizza is great. Pineapple on gammon. Pineapple in sweet and sour. It's like the best bit.
If you have me a pizza with pineapple on it, I ain't touching it. It's not happening.
Well, more pizza for me.
Fine, you can eat the pizza. I don't want it. It's tainted with pineapple. I'm not having it.
One day I'm just gonna give you a pizza with pineapple and mushrooms on it.
Oh, I hate mushrooms too. I hate mushrooms.
That's why I'm giving it you.
Disgusting.
I'll just put slices of one big slice of pepperoni over them, so you think it's a pepperoni pizza.
It was funny. We'll continue this pizza debate when we get to Supergirl, because there was also some pizza-related issues to bring up in Supergirl. So I wanted to mention that. But so here's the thing. I think if you take out the overt violence and tone that down, I probably would have enjoyed most of this episode. Outside of Raven's awkward dialogue that's badly delivered.
Yeah, I would say pretty much everything with Raven. I'm not feeling.
So
and I like Raven as a character.
Piece of scene was great, but yeah.
But it's all feels awkward. I think some of it's in the script as well.
Well, some of it is because there's the whole thing where she doesn't want Dick to leave her, and then she kind of like tells psychically that he is going to leave her, and she does a runner, but she's actually only on the roof. But we have to do the process where they come home and find the envelope, and it's like, of course she's already gone. This was coming off a melody, like it was so telegraphed where it was going. But that said, to his credit, it didn't end the way I thought it would in the episode, because the episode also has this little side plot that we're getting to, which so far I love. And that is the creepy family who are like assassins or something.
I believe that I saw they're called the Nuclear Family.
That's perfect. The Nuclear Family. So we're interested in this family who are play Monopoly, and the idiot son doesn't understand the rules, and then they get a call saying that they've been activated to go after the girl. And I thought, okay, is it just the parents, the kids not in this? But then no, the kids are in it as well. They're coming. They helped murder Dick's partner, who I genuinely thought was going to be a bigger, like a longer lasting part of the show.
I did too.
And they actually get to Raven at the end. They kidnap Raven, and it looks like they killed Dawn. Dawn goes over the roof.
Yeah, she's in a bad spot.
She's in a bad spot. She looks dead. But that said, I feel like I'd be surprised if she is actually dead, just because I feel like they'd have her around for it longer, but at the same time, she's not meant to be a regular. Maybe she'll just be in flashbacks now for Hank's sake when he's...
Yeah, and we can... Because it's not, the first time they've done this, in the comics, right? Dawn's dead, and, Dove's dead, and Hank goes off the rails.
Yeah, and then we get a new Dove later, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. That said, nothing in this episode indicated that they actually have powers or they have the whole Avatar War and Peace thing. They just feel like two people who put on suits and go and fight. Yeah,
maybe that's why the origin story is in episode 10, because it's setting up a grand return.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's like only half origin of the past Talking Dove. Maybe part of it's the origin of the new Dove.
Yeah,
I could see that. Because I know they said it was very focused, but that would still be focused to cut around if you're doing like a new Dove.
I agree, yeah.
I could see that. Also, my favourite part of this whole fight. So this is the thing. I was enjoying this episode sometimes because it was so over the top and ridiculous kind of way that I was kind of having fun with how, like, Dick gets knocked out, but he still manages to hold on to the ledge of the building so he doesn't fall. And then wakes up while he's hanging off and pulls himself up. Like, that's really funny.
And Dawn, who has wings,
yes,
is splattered.
It's splattered, yes. Well, they never actually gave us any indication that the wings work in any capacity outside of slashing people with the bladey parts.
Well, no.
So
I mean, I imagine they've got to work at least as much as Robin and Batman's capes do for gliding purposes.
She was wounded though.
Look, honestly, I have no problem with her going over the edge and the wings not working. The real problem here is Dick just somehow holding on to the edge.
He's that damn good.
It's not even like he's just doesn't pull himself up in time. At the end of the scene, when the fight's over, he actually comes to as if he's been unconscious. I'm like, how was he still holding on?
I do like that Raven kind of looks into his past though, and apparently his fancy laptop with his suit, it's also got a fax machine in it, and Alfred sends him images, or his partner sends him images.
Yeah, as you do.
But I like that she was bringing up, oh, you're an orphan too, and he's kind of like, oh, how do you know that? I was like, oh, that's weird, and they have the kind of conversations. So I don't completely hate the dynamic between the two of them. It's just Raven herself's dialogue and the sort of some of the setup in the plot is really like contrived and.
Yeah, Liza, I think it's all that Raven stuff is not great, and that leads to maybe 25% or a third of the episode kind of feeling really stilted and awkward. And that's quite a big chunk of the episode to feel that.
If they tone down the violence, right? Seriously, if they tone down the violence, I'll be at kind of an enjoyment level.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Sure, I was laughing at the absurd violence because it was so over the top, but I mean, like, it's still a problem.
I enjoy the drinking at the extreme violence.
Here's the thing, right? That's almost supposed it's meant to be a deconstruction of what Titans is supposed to be, And that's fine, except you've not actually ever achieved a live-action version that isn't a deconstruction yet. In fact, you've not achieved like a regular straight version of most of your characters. The DC movies as well seem to be determined to be deconstructions of them, and it's like, you've not achieved them properly yet first. Do that first, and then we'll talk about deconstructing them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And a little not looking forward to next episode.
Because it's Starfire and Beast Boy.
Probably going to be a huge amount of Starfire.
I think it's going to be a huge
Beast
amount
Boy
of Starfire.
is untested waters yet, so I mean, benefit of the doubt.
He's just going to be playing video games and calling people noobs on the Xbox game chat or whatever you.
Probably, but Starfire.
I'm a little concerned. Yeah, maybe I'll get better. Who knows?
Sure.
Who knows? Some optimism. Act with some.
Well, no, we're gonna be balanced.
Enthusiasm.
You can be optimistic. I won't.
All right. Well, that was Titans. Oh, honestly, I have a similar opinion to last week in that I don't think it's unsalvageable. There's hints of things that's there that can be improved upon and.
Do you know what is unsalvageable?
Oh, the theme tune. Oh God. Dun, 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 dun. And you hear it twice. They play it over the DC logo at the start, and then they play the exact theme again when the Titans logo comes up after the opening scene.
And then at the end.
It's so obnoxious. I'm going to say it. I think it's even worse than the Wonder Woman theme from the movies. I think it's even worse than that. It's more obnoxious.
I get that. The Wonder Woman one hurts my soul a bit more.
And that's not a diss in the film.
Straight to me.
I like Wonder Woman the movie quite a bit, but that main theme that came from Batman v Superman is annoying.
Atrocious is the word you're looking for.
But I think this Titans main theme is actually worse because do you know what? It's not just that it's obnoxious; it's that it's so generic sounding, and it's not even. You've got some good people working on this score. I think Clint Mansell's one of the composers on it.
Really?
I'm sure.
Clint Mansell did not work on that theme tune. I'll tell you that.
I bet he did.
No, he didn't.
I bet he did.
If he did, Clint Mansell just dropped from one of my top 3 composers to top 10 at best.
Oh,
that is unacceptable from him.
Oh my God! Computer.
Are you breaking shit?
I'm trying to. Okay, not in this episode specifically. I'm sure I saw the name in the first one. No, let me. You know what? I'm just going to Google.
That is usually a good thing to do. Or you could just IMDb his name and see his credits.
Shut up. Titans theme by Clint Mansell and Kevin Kiner.
What the? I like both of those people.
That is the first result. That is a YouTube link to the main theme by those two names.
What the hell?
Dun 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 dun.
I have never heard anything so bad from either of those people.
It's so obnoxious.
I really like both of those composers. Let's say Clint Mansell's, top 3.
Who's Kiner? What's he done?
He does the Star Wars Rebels stuff.
Right, so...
Some phenomenal, non-Star Warsy pieces in there.
So I wouldn't know him, but I like Clint Mansell a lot. Between Moon and these Mass Effect 3 stuff and...
Requiem for a Dream, Black Swan.
There you go, yeah. I remember Black Swan sticking out in my head, but if I watch it again, maybe I'll... Been a long time,
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Alright, that's Titans. We'll move on to Supergirl, Season 4, Episode 2. It's called Fallout. And so let's get the pizza controversy out of the way. So Brainy likes apple and olive pizza.
I'm kind of intrigued.
I have never heard anyone get an apple on a pizza before. It's amusing to me.
I don't think anyone does. That's the point of the joke.
Really? Okay.
I think
I don't know. It sounds weird, but it doesn't sound weird enough that I could buy some people out there.
No, see, I took it as no. Brainy's just that weird that he went, oh, that'll do on a pizza because he likes apples because he's always eating apples, isn't he?
Okay, all right.
So I figured that was the joke, and he just doesn't understand.
I love him with everything. One with apples and olives. It's his favourite.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, so I liked the episode for the most part, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I think continuing from last week's stuff, I like that again. The main plot, which is an ongoing serialized plot, is baking the entire issues they're discussing into the actual core story, rather than just being something they bring up for 1 week, and it's developing and building as it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. The opening scene where she's with the president, and there's like a riot breaking out like between the pro alien and the anti alien camp. Yes, I did groan a little bit when the American flag literally falls because it's falling. Get it? Get the metaphor? The country's falling.
The car is the thing. That knocks it down as well. It's like, hey, it's like they're going, hey, remember this when this happened?
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Sure. But it was the obvious metaphor of the flag falling down. It's like the fighting is literally tearing the country down. Like, bit on the nose, but I mean, I can kind of forgive it because it's a sort of thing I kind of associate with a super story, right? Is a little bit of on the nose stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But so there was a lot of fun stuff here with Kara trying to Lois and Clark Lena, and not being able to. Like, Lena having none of it. By that I mean she kept trying to find an excuse to leave because Mercy's at Elcor, and she's trying to get away to be Supergirl, and Lena's like, no, we stick together. This is safety in numbers, and insisting. In fact, I laughed a lot when she's like, oh, there's a sonic attack happening. Put these earbuds in, they'll be fine. And she's like, just kind of puts them in her pocket because she can't hear it, or she can't hear it. It doesn't affect her. She doesn't care.
Yeah, I don't know why she wouldn't just put them in for appearance's sake.
I guess because you couldn't see. And then, pretending it's a phone call from Alex when it's just the DEO earbud or whatever.
Yeah.
Or are they broadcasting it the frequency only Supergirl can hear? Is that what they're doing?
I assume that, yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense. But regardless, they're all that stuff was good fun. I did think the way she caught the bullets and fired them back was like, are you even trying to hide who you are? Look what you're doing, Kara.
She throws them back and it takes out the dude's legs.
Yeah.
But they still saw you do that.
Also, even throwing bullets at legs feels very unsuper-like, right?
It does.
That's the sort of thing that... I mean, Batman doesn't use guns, but it's the sort of thing where Batman doesn't mind breaking a kneecap if the occasion calls for it, right? Yeah. Whereas I don't imagine Superman breaking a kneecap to get information out of them.
No, it's true.
Or Supergirl. I mean, Supergirl's a little bit angrier than Superman traditionally, but not so much in the show. She doesn't really have the same anger streak as some Supergirl representations have had in the past.
No.
But yeah. So, some of the Lexo suit stuff. But they're clearly set up that Lena's going to be. God, Lana comes back from Smallville in a Lexo suit. Oh, jeez. Oh, don't do that to me.
That's a terrifying thought. Why would you say that?
But Lena, she's been tinkering and giving upgrades, so she's so wearing that by the end of this season. Could be for good reasons, could be for bad reasons, but she's so wearing that suit by the end of this season.
Definitely.
But yeah, so that was good fun. It was good hijinks, and I got into it. And then you had the debate side of the episode, which was coming more from the Catco stuff, which feels a lot more relevant this season so far.
Yeah, I mean, this makes sense to me, given the current climate relating, journalism especially. It feels like, hey, you've got it, use it, right? It's baked into your show already.
I mean,
which was why it was so weird that last season they kind of just threw it away.
Well, even more so, they did this in season 2, though. They brought some of these things up. They kind of hinted at what was going on with journalism being attacked. And then this season, it feels more baked in, and you have... Brainy goes to the pizza place and Walt Mercy not Otis has been captured by DEO. By the way, he's acting just goofy enough that he's kind of still echoing some of the Otis from Superman the movie.
Yeah, I thought that.
He was kind of hamming it up a little bit, but it was kind of working for him because it was very traditional Otis. But he, Brainy goes to the pizza place and he's his image thingamajig.
Image inducer?
Inducer, yeah. That gets hacked and turned off. And then the pizza guy, who I know that actor, he played a perverted cop in the movie Valentine about 16 years ago. I know, some random pull. Also, he looks the same age. He's not aged in like 18 years.
I mean, credit to him.
I guess it's handy when you look sort of middle-aged and bald from an early age. He just kind of sticks with that for a long time. But
it does.
But and he tries to act, but Nia happens to be there, and she kind of jumps in for him and sticks up for him. And it's kind of a sweet little scene. We have a bit of chemistry, and he kind of like, in his very brainy way, tries to say, "Oh, can I get to know you afterwards?" But Brainy's affected by this because he's unsure of himself later. He's doubting his own judgment.
Yeah.
Or his percent. Yes, that wouldn't work with anyone else. But yes, when it comes to Brainy, we're talking percentages.
It is. It's not judgment for him. It's calculations.
Yes. I thought most of that was sweet. I thought Nia speaking to Jimmy about taking more of a stance, and Jimmy was kind of apprehensive because if I jump in too soon with this kind of thing, they'll just think we're biased. We have to kind of play it smart. But he gives a big speech when someone plays a prank on an alien co-worker. Do you know what? I never realised how spread the aliens were before now.
Yeah, they're just kind of everywhere, aren't they?
There's a guy in the office who just happens to be an alien, so I mean, I guess that's just how spread they are. Which works for all the analogies we're doing this for, right? It works for you know how well spread it is. And that was all cool. So I enjoyed all that stuff. I think all of that worked. I wasn't really groaning at any of it. What I was groaning at, and this seems to be a trend, that whenever they want a DEO agent who's, not a main character to turn out to be like against the beliefs or the ideals of what's going on, we tend to get some shitty actor they've cast in a bit part. Because there's two DEO agents fighting, and it's awful. That is the worst scene of the episode. And then later on, Jensen is kind of like almost seduced to the dark side by Mercy when she's in the cell. And it takes like 3 sentences of like, "Oh, you never thought you'd be putting humans in these cages, did you?"
And then there's the scene where he's watching Alex talk to Brainy about what had happened at the pizza place.
Yeah, you've been nice to an alien? What? Oh, I've had enough of this. It's really hammy, and it's not so much that I'm going to say it's unbelievable that someone could be manipulated this way, because I believe they probably can be. I think the problem is when you're writing it into a TV show or whatever, you have to do it with a bit more tact. It feels too blunt and too cheesy, I guess. And it's a minor problem in the grand scheme of things. I'll tell you what I do like, though. I do like that they're bringing back that device from the end of season 2.
I really appreciate how they reminded us.
Yeah, that was also neat.
That was better set up than I would typically expect.
Not only did they reminded us in a way that felt not obviously natural, because Otis was in the plan that they wanted to get this thing, but also because the way he brought it up as if, oh, that's something that hurt aliens. So he kind of like, was, oh, you guys made an alien device.
I didn't even question why they were bringing it up, because, hey, that was a lot of aliens you hurt when you did that.
Yeah.
Kind of a dick move.
It made sense for his character. So at the end of the episode, when it turned out that they've, that's what they wanted, and they've stolen that tech, and they've put kryptonite in it, and we end the episode with Supergirl flying through the sky and then falling because she feels the kryptonite, which does lead us to why images of a new suit surfaced, and that'll be why.
Protection.
Protection. So I imagine she's probably going to be in that new suit for a little while. Until they sort it, until they figure it out.
I would have thought so. I'm okay with this.
No, I think it's fine. I think it hurts. And I actually really liked that when Mercy had the kryptonite, Agent Liberty immediately says, "Oh, be careful with that. If we make her a martyr, that may be worse. Like, killing her's not necessarily the best option here."
They want her incapacitated.
Yeah, so I like that. I felt, again, a little bit more thought went into this than maybe some of the previous season plots that we've had so far. I mean, Mercy's fine. I think she does ham it up. When she's doing her dialogue with Lena, she's kind of chewing the scenery a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, still though, if they stick the course with the themes they're playing with, they could still collectively as a trio be the best villains, season-long villains that the show's had. It's not a high bar.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
but they could
low
do
competition, but they could do,
because that's never been the strong point of this show. When this show's been good, it's never been because of the season-long villain.
No, never,
ever. Very few episodes of even involving the season-long villain have typically ended up being some of the best ones. But we're kind of 2 for 2 for the most part so far. Still some wrinkles around the edges. Still some, like I say, the DEO agents were kind of a stick out kind of point.
Yeah,
but
I would say a moment that stuck out to me was Nia telling Jimmy that she's trans.
Yeah.
It was just clunky dialogue in the way she kind of went, "Oh, I don't know if you know this."
Oh, sure. It was written just a little bit weirdly, yeah.
It was like, hey, audience, I don't know if you know this, but this is it. And I'm like, really? That's the best we got? And this show is, especially on those subjects, has been so much better at these things.
I think the reason why she told him though was really good because
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about this scene is that it's not like Jimmy's any stranger to bigotry, right? He's a black man, but the thing here that he won't be familiar with is the idea that it's something that's hidden until it's revealed, right? So he's never hidden that he's a black man because he can't, but the idea that she relates to Brainy in a way because something got revealed that he was hiding up until that point, and now this is something that she doesn't necessarily hide, but it's something she's not told him yet. It's something like, hey, this is something you don't know about me at a glance, and so I like that. I like that she was kind of like telling him that because it's something he wouldn't necessarily immediately connect
I like
to
the
as
message,
much.
and like I say, I like the point. I just thought the dialogue of it was really clunky.
All right, I mean, you can live with a bit of clunky dialogue here or there, I suppose.
I can, but like I said, the only reason I call it out is specifically we've had coming out scenes on this show that have been some of the best I've seen on TV.
Oh sure, yeah.
That this one kind of felt like, okay, we just need to get this one out of the way.
I wonder though if there'll be more of a coming out thing with other characters. Just Jimmy knows right now. It could be more of a thing later, as opposed to that. But no, it was pretty solid. Like, I mean, I'm liking what they're doing overall plot. Jean's investigating the missing Fiona, who is Manchester Black's fiance.
Yeah,
We get a glimpse of him. In photos, not in the scenes, but in photos on her fridge and stuff. So that's setting up why he's going to be in a in a pissy mood, no doubt.
And John goes off to a hate rally inspired from Agent Liberty.
Yeah, talking about aliens taking your jobs because they have super strength and you don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously the symbolism is obvious here, but
it's not subtle, but fine.
It works. He's doing a good job. I think it helps that he's a voice actor because he's behind that mask.
Yeah, he's got to do a lot to emote with his voice here, and like you say, he's had enough voice roles to be pretty damn good at it.
Yeah, I think that's helping him a lot in those scenes.
Yeah.
No, I'm feeling pretty positive about Supergirl so far. There's been no giant missteps yet. There's been a couple of little rough patches here or there in the episodes, but nothing.
No, my biggest concern is maybe this, spinning too many plates for the season.
I wonder though if it's going to be if they're going to have something that feels like it ends a bit with the mid-season, and then maybe Manchester Black's a post-Christmas thing as opposed to
maybe because at the minute we've got the trio we've got going on now.
Yeah,
we've got Lena bubbling under the surface.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Russian Kara.
Yeah,
and we've got Manchester Black.
I think Manchester Black and Russian Kara might be more post-Christmas. I mean, I could see them maybe popping up at the end of this mid-season or whatever.
It's not impossible that it can be done. I typically this show doesn't have my faith in juggling that much, so we'll see.
Do you want to know why I like the sound of it though? I like the sound of it because the problem last year is that we got rain, and rain was going to be the thing for the whole season, and that felt fine at first. But once they kind of went back and forth with rain multiple times, it was like, okay, we need more. So the idea that we actually have things in the tank for later that we're not getting to right now, that's been set up, unlike the Argo City stuff, which came out of nowhere and was just kind of rushed in the last few episodes.
Think part of that is a reaction to, obviously, we lost Edge last season because of filming constraints, clearly, with S.H.I.E.L.D.
You think that affected the plot enough that they...
I think it did.
Plus they had to delay shooting as well. They had,
Edge was just completely forgotten about as a character, and it felt weird to set up that for nothing. So I imagine that they had episodes planned with him that were like, okay, now we need something else.
Should have brought Maxwell Lord back. We did have that cliffhanger at the end of season 1. He had that tech. Should bring Maxwell Lord back. That's going to be my guess on this show when someone's in a mask. It's like, it was Maxwell Lord.
Let's do it. Every show's got to have a guess.
Yes. Eddie for Flash.
Tommy for Arrow.
And Maxwell Lord for Supergirl. Yeah. And I guess on Legends it's, Hawkman or something. I don't know. It's Hawkman.
Yeah. Legends will make a joke about it themselves when the time comes.
Yeah. So I'm feeling mostly pretty positive about Supergirl. It feels like it's got a good direction, and I wonder how much the problems production-wise last year in losing a showrunner because of the whole Kreisberg thing. I wonder how much of that did actually lead to what we didn't like in the back half of the season.
Yeah, because like we said, first half of the season felt like it had direction. It was after that break where it kind of
because I think I was on record at the time. I really liked the fight. When Rain and Supergirl fought and she kicked the shit out of her. I really liked that scene. Yeah.
No, you definitely were super positive about
that. Yeah. And then eventually we had like a dream world and fountains of youth or something. I don't.
It got into some bollocks, didn't it?
Well then, I guess we'll move on to Arrow. And it's weird it not being the last one of the week. I'm not used to this yet.
It's kind of smack in the middle, isn't it?
That's bizarre. As a season 7, episode 2, it's called The Longbow Hunters. And we have the introduction of 3 hunters. We have Silencer, Red Dart, and Kodiak. Silencer being the only one that I'm particularly familiar with.
Yeah, but even then, it's a bastardization.
Because she's not got a power, she's just got like a box that does it.
Yeah.
To its credit, though, when she does enact her power and she's fighting the Black Canaries, that's right, both Canaries, we don't hear any sound during it. It does this really neat thing where all the sound gets taken out of the soundtrack.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot in execution.
Yeah.
I just wish it was a power and not just a box that someone can destroy or EMP later.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But at least it was shot well. But yeah, so Oliver's still in prison, and he is tasked with taking out the guard that he doesn't like because Vinnie Jones doesn't want him there anymore, and he agrees.
We should mention, we're two now still in prison.
Still in prison, yeah.
So only got one more to match Flash.
No real hint yet as to how he's going to get out either. So
it's not even starting to go in that direction.
No, I guess the ending with Felicity going to Agent Watson is kind of maybe where that'll eventually maybe lead to him getting out, but right now it's not like about him, it's just about stopping Diaz. So So he tries to just want to get rid of him, so he's like, I'm going to try and get some leverage, and he's got a new sidekick. The little buddy that he saved has basically forced himself upon him as the new sidekick.
Yep.
And they try and get dirt on him, but he's clean. And then the villains insist that he just shank him, and they give him a shank. And
shanks himself.
And that's how he gets out of it. He goes up, picks a fight, and then makes it look like he gets shanked by him that gets him fired. So he's still kind of ruining his life because he's not like he's going to get another prison guard job easily after this. But he's not killed him. He's just shanked himself. And I did enjoy Vinnie Jones's grin when he saw how he'd done it, because he was expecting because they kept forcing him to come back up to him.
He kind of appreciated the creativeness.
Yeah, he appreciated that. Oh well, that was creative. He got out of it.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. So that was that. That was the prison stuff basically. Not much to say.
Very brief.
Not much to say. Yeah, well, it focused on the other stuff because we had Felicity going to Argus with where Diggle is, and with Terrific who's also there. And then, of course, you had Dinah and Laurel. Dinah goes to Laurel for info, and she kind of fobs her off, but they end up sort of running into each other because Laurel wants to, get Diaz herself, so they end up working to kind of reluctantly working together, and that's when they encounter Silencer and take on her. Because earlier on, the Longbow Hunters stole a device that's going to let Diaz control this weapon that'll wipe out the site.
Something or other, yada, 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 typical Arrow plot.
Yeah. And they track him to a train where Diggle and Argus go to get him.
Storm in while they're there.
It's a very, very bad CG train as well, might I add. But they fight, but then, of course, it gets to the point where, he has to let them go to save something. I can't remember what it was now. Because, Felicity's like, no, don't let him go. And Diggle's like, no, we can't let him keep this device. This is, making sure he doesn't have that's more important than catching him right now. So, Felicity, which, by the way, Felicity in this episode is completely self-centered and does not listen to anything that anyone says, even when they're saying, no, we shouldn't do this. And Diggle's like, no.
You know when you said Felicity in this episode?
Yes.
I think you meant Felicity in the last 4 seasons.
Okay, sure. But particularly in this episode, though, because now everyone else has moved on to try and do things by the book, she is being really stubborn and childish and insisting she do things her way, and that she's not happy with.
She's like, damn it, Curtis! I just want to hack things. Let me hack on your computer.
Yes, and he doesn't want to get caught for
He's
that.
like, no,
obviously.
you'll get me fired. And she's like, I'll be fine.
Yes, and Renee's kind of along because at one point she does kind of convince Renee and Curtis to go and check out a building, and Renee's like, well, there's no hockey mask, so I'm not Whale Dog, therefore I'm not breaking any rules. And Diggle points out the flaw in that logic, and it won't really hold up once it goes anywhere. So
yeah. Do you know I had pointed out to me after this episode on the topic of Renee? He hasn't said Hoss yet this season.
Oh.
So obviously he's waiting till Oliver's out of prison so he can say it to. So that's going to be one hell of a drink when he finally says it, because he said that a lot.
He did, yeah. There's actually quite a few son of a bitches in this one, despite the fact that Lance is no longer with us.
He's here in spirit.
Yeah. So, it ends with Felicity going to Agent Watson from the FBI because she wants to actually catch Diaz, so she's going to work with her, which might lead to how Oliver gets out, who knows. But
yeah,
that's where we're going with that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because it was rather drunk by the end. There was no copycat Archer in this.
No, there was a couple of times where I don't know if it was hinted or if we were just saying we thought that they'd eventually go. I think Renee at one point said, "Oh, you know who we should go to for help for this," and because I actually laughed. This was a pretty funny moment. Dinah goes, "If you say the fake Green Arrow, I'm going to punch you in the mouth," or something like that.
Yeah,
that was kind of funny. But yeah, there was no actually scenes of him in this one. No.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. That it's such a big thing to leave as a cliffhanger from last episode. And be like, yeah, forget it.
It's fine. We'll get back to him. We don't know who it is yet. It's definitely Tommy, just for the record. But
yeah, it's definitely not Roy.
So there's some future stuff with Roy and older William, and turns out the little arrowhead Felicity gave him was a tracker pointing to a location on the island. And yes. Roy's all, you shouldn't have come here. I don't want to go back. Screw the world. Don't mention Thea to me. And until they get to the location where the thing is, and it's like, you have to dig up a grave, and it's just the bow and arrows, it's Oliver's bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And for some reason he knows there's a compartment in it where there's going to be a little note, and then Roy reads the little note, burns it so he can't see it, and says we have to go back to Star City, and that's how that plot ends. So
I love how urgent it is, given that this bow has been sat here for literally years. Like, this note's been in there for years, and it's like, no, this is urgent. We're going now. And
the way it sounds when William talks, it sounds like he never really saw them again after Felicity shipped him off to boarding school.
I'm okay with that if it means we get rid of the kid, because this guy is fine. Isn't it? I've got no problem with this actor.
He's better than the kid, yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Again, we've still not really had much to judge from.
No.
But so far, it's fine.
Yeah, I am baffled to think of what they're going to try and pull off with this flash forward stuff and how it's going to all make sense with the present day stuff at the end.
Yeah, I don't.
Because it has to tie in some way. It has to be relevant.
It usually does, unless they're giving up on that and just doing their own thing.
Because this is like 20 years in the future, right? Or 15 maybe, whatever.
10, 15.
Yeah, so it's at least 10 because he's an adult.
Yeah, how old is he meant to be now? He's meant to be what? 12?
I guess.
13?
Yeah, so he's probably about 23, something like that.
Yeah, so in the 10 to 15 range. Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that it's been this big gap of time. Like, if they're going to put themselves in a hole and say, this is the problem with flash forwards in a show like this, that conceivably could keep going for another 5 seasons because they've not actually got an ending planned for it yet, right? Seemingly. It's different on something like Lost or something that has like a more set story that they're going to finish and they know where they're going to finish it. With this, they're going to paint themselves into a hole by saying, "Oh no, this, and this has to happen at some point." Legend gets away with a lot of this because it's like, the time keeps changing, we're jumping around all over the place, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
This though, if it paints it into like, no, whatever they plan, it has to be there for later. And like, do Oliver and Felicity by the end of the season make a choice not to go and get William? Do they make a choice? Like, no, we're going to leave him out of our lives now, and we'll leave messages for him for 10 years in the future for reasons.
Yeah.
Like, does this all feel like bullshit when we come to season 8? And it's like, okay, there's another plot.
Well, obviously, but I don't think that has anything to do with this in particular. That's just the Arrow formula. Whatever it was, last season's all just bullshit. Whatever.
No, but this is more so though, because this is new plots have to exist within what's still going to happen.
They do, yes, but so far, there's not too much that needs to happen.
I'm expecting this to crash and burn. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, it will.
I'm expecting
It's
it to crash
be
and burn.
Glorious, spectacular, fiery mess.
All right, well, I'm done talking about Arrow. Let's move on
That's fine.
to the season premiere, season 4, episode 1 of Legends of Tomorrow. It's called The Virgin Gary, which is a fantastic title.
For a fantastic show.
It's almost a shame that Gary's not pronounced the same way as Mary is, just for the rhyme of it.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, so it's funny because you read that title and you think that's going to be all focused on Gary, but it's actually not. That's just a plot point towards the end. We find out that they've basically wiped out the last of the anachronisms that were cleaning up last season. We start off in the 60s with the Beatles, and I did get. You know what? Mick made me laugh about a minute into this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's talking about how he's never met an English person that he didn't like, and then Nick's like, hey, but. Well, actually, Nick is the actor's name. Sorry, never mind. Nate. That's what I'm looking for. Nate says to him, "Yeah, but if we didn't have the the invasion of music, we'd never have got this, and this." And he's like, "And Black Sabbath." He's like, "Black Sabbath. We have to save these limeys from whatever's coming to kill them from time."
Yeah.
That was good. By any means necessary. We'll do it. So that was all good. There's a lot of like sort of like almost epilogue-y, prologue-y stuff at the start. And I say epilogue because it still kind of feels like it's wrapping up last season stuff. But it's okay, we've dealt with the last of these. The Legends are getting medals. Ava's in charge of the Time Bureau. All this going on.
Yeah. It's all fun enough though.
It's all fun. There's plenty of jokes.
So meta.
It's when they get back on the ship after the party it's when they get back on the ship after the Beatles stuff that it gets so meta, because at one point Nate just says something like, "Oh, that'll be good for our ratings," and I went, "What?"
Yeah.
What?
I just sort of like, what? And they're like, "Oh yeah. The Time Bureau, they rate all the teams."
Yeah,
because
later on in the episode, I think it's him as well, is like, "Oh, we're adding supernatural stuff. That'll be good for our ratings."
I think it's Ray.
People like supernatural stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, they do CW, don't they? What season Supernatural on now?
And then right after that, it's like, maybe I think it's Zari. He's like, Wally had the right idea, get off to like find himself. Like, speaking of things that we've done to death, didn't he do that exact same thing last year? I'm like, this is almost like throwing shade at the Flash writers for like that's how they wrote him out.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're writing him out the exact same way.
I know, like so. Technically, it was the Flash that wrote him out both times.
I mean, technically, yeah.
Technically, it was. So, they get away with it. Whatever.
But it was cracking me up. I'm down.
Yeah. Also, I'm not convinced there's enough time travel devices for how everyone gets back to Woodstock, because Sarah steals Gary's watch, so that's fine. She's got her own way back, and then Ray goes with Zari in the
time ship.
The little ship.
Yeah.
What's we call it? The drop ship. And then presumably you have Mick and Nate take the main ship, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone's covered, right?
I think that's everyone covered. Yeah, because we don't have an Amaya yet. We're getting Amaya 2.0 at some point, but we don't have her yet.
Yeah, I believe she's just playing a different character this season.
Same family, I assume?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So. But, we're getting it at some point. And it just got to a point where I'm like, wait a minute, I'm keeping track of like how many people have got time travel devices. How did they all?
Such a great stylized sequence with them cutting together.
Yeah, because all the split camera and then it sort of merged.
And the way they kind of come together, I really liked it. It's a simple thing, and I know I've seen it elsewhere, but it still works.
I'll give it credit. The first shot of Woodstock, where they did the big wide shot, it's obviously mostly CG to show the entire crowd. I was like, it looks okay. Like, that's enough. And this was obviously before I want to get to the big thing, because there was a big thing we want to talk about.
Oh, there's a big thing.
But so Ava and Sarah are in a good place. She asks her to move in, and it's very sweet. It's actually one of the most sweetest couple things I think that we've got on TV right now is them two, and I think it's because Sarah's such a non-relationship character.
Yeah.
that it works, and it feels really sweet. Her like kind of wanting to, be kind of like a kept woman, as you put it.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Like, there are so many healthy relationships on this show compared to everything else.
Yeah.
Like not just romantic, but platonic ones. You've got like Nate and Ray. Like even like Ray and Mick.
Yes.
Like you could just pull any pairing together. It's like, yeah, they've got a pretty good healthy relationship.
Yeah. So that was really sweet. Like I'm digging them. I don't ship, right? I'm not a shipper. I don't ship things, but this is close to that line, I suppose. Like, but yeah, I'm kind of rooting for them. I like them together. They're good.
Yeah, even if it does mean we don't get horny Sarah going through our history.
We did that for a season in a bit.
We did.
That's fine. Because the two shows up, and I'm loving that Ava hates Constantine because she had sex with Sarah that one time. So should I be upset about your ex-lover breaking into my house? And she's like, "Don't you mean our house?" I'm like, "Oh, that's smooth." Digging yourself out like that, reminding yeah. Okay, you just said yes to that proposal, so I can't be mad at you. Damn it.
Yeah.
But
Sarah's good at this.
Yeah, she's good. And then meanwhile, Nate and Mick wants to steal stuff, and Nate's just like, "Yeah, sure, let's go steal stuff." And he's like, "Oh, we're going to commit a felony. I'm going to do it." And they go to this house, and it turns out to be his parents' house. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's Biff from Back to the Future as the dad. Right, we're getting Back to the Future jokes at some point in this season because he's on a time travel show. It's impossible not to. It's impossible.
Yeah, I feel like we're doing young version of him at some point.
Probably, which means it's probably going to mirror the plot of Back to the Future, and Nate's going to have to make sure his parents get together. I'm banking on it now.
I would not be surprised at all, given this show, if that is exactly what we do.
Or better yet, if the younger version is just the bully who's breaking up the other two, and they have to intervene in another way. I don't know. It'd be funny if he's essentially just playing Biff, but it's obviously a younger actor playing the Biff version because he's in the past. And it would be 1955. This is the beauty of this. It would line up with the years in Back to the Future because it'd have to.
Yeah.
This is gold.
They're so doing this.
See if it wasn't Universal, I would totally put a DeLorean in the background or something as a cameo. Just as a joke. This show would get away with it.
Yeah, it would.
But yeah, so that's fun.
Given the shit we referenced last year with like the ET thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're doing the Back to the Future episode.
Absolutely. And then so they go back because his dad casually mentions at one point, "Oh, I feel bad for hippies." It's all contrived that the subject of hippies comes up when we've already had hippies in the other scenes, in Woodstock. But he brings up hippies and then he mentions, "Oh yeah, no, I feel bad for them after the massacre at Woodstock." And Nate's like, "What? Mick, we need to go."
I love how Mick doesn't even react. Like he thinks that was just a thing.
Also, I love Mick and Nate's mum. That is one of my favourite
sandwiches.
pairings.
Hell yeah.
Bet your ass I do, ma'am. Right, that's good. I'll make some sandwiches.
Most polite Mick's ever been.
Or even just when Biff's all like, "Hey, should I write you a check now, or does your friend here want to like swipe it from your mum's purse on the way out?" And Mick just goes, "I'm fine either way."
It's so good.
Oh, I've missed this show. So we haven't even got to the ridiculous part yet, but I missed this show already. Because even before this, we have the idea that Ray thinks it's his fault, that maybe this is not a demon or whatever that's in this time period. It's actually Nora up to no good, and Zari's kind of like clocked that he's the one who let her go. She's like, that person probably had a big heart, and kind of lets him slide a little bit.
Yeah.
And they play with that a couple of days, but so they all end up back in the 60s at Woodstock. And Sarah thinks it's a demon, and she's worried that Ava won't think she's as much of a hero anymore because she's screwed up by letting demons out of the portal. In fact, at one point, they almost break Gary in half when they think he might have told her. Because he's refusing to talk about it, and then she's like, "Mick!" And Mick grabs him, puts him against the wall. But they're there, and then they find a dead body, and there's like this starred goo, I'll call it, this colourful goo. And then later on, we see what this actually is and what took the heart of this person that's got a hole in their chest.
Yeah, when you say they found a dead body, it's missing its chest.
Yes. Very Predator. But what turned out to kill the person was not exactly like Predator in the traditional sense, because it was a
Predator.
It was a freaking unicorn who fires sparkle goo at people, which makes them high.
Also, just on this point, Nate and Ray being bronies cracked me up.
See, the thing is though, is that not only does it before it does the sparkle dust thing, which is hilarious in and of itself, the way it kills this one person at Woodstock is super violent. It spearheads the poor bastard and then throws them into the air when it's done.
And you kind of go, that's why unicorns have a horn.
And then start eating the heart. That's what the unicorn does. So of course, Sarah has to go get Constantine, and he's miffed that he's missed out on his threesome, but they have to go and
he goes, hang on, did the beast musk anyone? And she's like, if you mean sparkle them, then yeah.
Yeah, and Ray envisions Nora at one point thinking she's there. In fact, when they land, when Constantine and Sarah show up, they're basically just like in a field, just doing weird movements. And
it's Woodstock, is what you're saying.
It's Woodstock, but I think Mick's got either Nate or Ray in like a sort of wheelbarrow like formation, and they're going around the ground. And actually, we have to talk about where Mick thinks he sees his dead rat, and Nate thinks he sees his father.
They see each other as these things.
Yes. So he thinks he's talking to his rat, and they hug it out. But can we go back to Unicorn who sprays sparkle dust that makes people high? Can we just talk about that for a second? Because I feel like that's...
We're kind of brushing over it, aren't we?
Because that's the point when I was watching this episode where I tweeted out I effing love Legends of Tomorrow. That was the moment when I saw the unicorn and saw it impale someone. I'm like, okay, I missed this show. I'm happy. Like, I don't know what else to say.
I love it.
At the end, when they start doing the magic ritual, which needs a bunch of things, we need the saliva of a man with 9 fingers and hair of a damned woman or something like that.
Yeah, and the powerful shaman's protection stone or whatever it was.
Which was Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Yes. Wasn't really familiar with the all two people they got, which I assume are famous, so just from the context, but Jimi Hendrix I recognise. I'm happy to say that. But so they got this stuff and they need the virgin, so they get Gary. And they don't tell him that's why he's there though. He thinks he's just there to hold up this
He's shirtless holding a pomegranate.
Yes. He's holding the pomegranate, and he's just like, "Oh, you're an interim member of the team." He's like, "I'm an interim member. I'm an interim legend. Oh well, let's go then. All right, I'm holding this up."
I feel like that would have been just as good a title instead of the Virgin Gary, just interim legend.
Yeah, that'd have been good. And I actually thought it was going to lose a hand because they did some magic shit, or Constantine does, and the unicorn like de skins, and it's like this demonic, just skeleton blood unicorn monster.
This is going to go a little over your head. But it really reminded me of a Threstrel from Harry Potter. People will get it. It's a thing.
Sure. But it grabs hold of Gary's hand. And it's pulling him in. And the legends all come out to grab him and help him.
Play some tug of war.
And I thought it was going to bite his hand off. I thought his hand was a goner. And he was going to be a poor bastard with one hand.
And then Sarah throws a knife at it and it lets go.
Yes, and he's kind of distraught. But I like when this is the thing. I like when when Sarah was coming back, right, and they were like she came back home to Ava. I was really worried that they showed us them being so happy at the first part of the episode that this was going to be the breakup again because we have to have the drama, right? I was worried that Ava was going to be pissed about the lying, and instead it was just another sweet scene where she's like, I don't care that you're a screw up. You're a legend. Like, you screw up. That's part of your thing. I love you anyway. And they kiss and they're happy. And she's like, I still have to go and save the world, so I won't be around for a while. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's you. And it's hard. I'm like, they didn't do the bullshit drama. And I appreciated that. It was just nice.
Yes. But what did Gary lose if not a hand?
What did he lose?
Well, the unicorn came back out and bit him.
Oh, that's right, yes. Oh, his nipple. Right, he lost a nipple.
He lost a nipple.
And he's going to get it back, but Constantine's like, no, that's a trophy. It's a memorial, mate.
Yeah, badge of honour.
Badge of honour. But obviously, the episode ends with Constantine getting attacked by a spirit of some kind, who's obviously going to be big bad for the season, I imagine. And because he actually turns down Sarah to join the team, like, repeatedly. But this might convince him that he needs help, so that'll be that. But... So no, I have little negative to say about this returning episode of Legends.
I got nothing to complain about. I loved every second.
It was funny. It was charming in places. It was sweet in places. It was ridiculous in the best possible. It has
a psychotic evil unicorn.
Yeah, I mean, My only thing is that Cabin in the Woods kind of stole its lunch in that one. You know, it got there first, but it was still delightful.
Yeah,
It's still great.
Cabin in the Woods didn't have sparkles though.
No. But Cabin in the Woods had like 50 million other things in the same movie though. The Unicorn was one brief cameo.
No, it's true.
So,
to be fair, this is one brief episode. It's just a drop in the bucket.
More time was spent on it. Shut up. You know what I mean? Delightful. Legends is fantastic. I have little bad things to say.
It's the best.
So obviously when they get Nora back, who's still kind of supernatural because she's linked to the whole demon and the cult thing, so she'll probably be able to help, and that's what will convince everyone else to keep her around most likely. But Ray's just like wanting her around because he's got it bad, and he can, I don't know, try and seduce his wife and probably fail miserably because that's who Ray is, and then
We did have well, you know, in Arrow you mentioned how he paint himself into a corner, but you know, in Legends gets away with it because it's time travel shenanigans.
Yeah, the whole thing's a cartoon, and that's why it gets away with it.
Exactly. It does it here, reminding us of Zari's origin, where the whole country has to go to absolute shit in the next 20 years.
That's right. Oh, look, it's worth mentioning that scene though, because it's a really because I think this show, for all its goofiness, it can slow down for a moment and actually have a serious scene, and that was a fairly serious scene. She's watching her mother in 2018 push her as a little girl, and starts getting upset because of all the bad things and how she can't intervene. And
it's just this mother, pushing the kid on a swing, and she's like, how can anyone be afraid of her?
Yeah, that was a really good line. That was a really good line that got the message across. And do you know what I think actually makes that work just a little bit better than what it would have done had this been like her second episode, is the idea that she's been around for a whole season, and we've not even really been talking about that side of her character yet. For the most part, obviously our faiths come up a couple of times here or there, but it's not.
Yeah, we've had it around. It's been a part of her character, but it's not been a defining trait.
Yeah,
is what I would say.
So having this come up now and seeing that this is eating at her, that she wants to intervene, just kind of like how Sarah always wanted to intervene with Laurel.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I realize that it's taken this long to get to it because it would have been so easy for her first, her second episode to be like, right, I want to go back and I want to change it and I want to do it this way.
Yeah.
And I think they might have spoke about it here or there, but they never seriously went down that route.
Yeah, I think it was more about saving her brother, who was more recent, whereas there was never the option, or at least not really, not to any great extent, of her saying, I can go back and just stop the whole thing from happening,
That's it. She's not even trying to stop the whole thing. She's just tell her just to go to Canada.
Yeah.
Get us out of it.
Yeah, go to Canada.
Canada's a safe haven as always, apparently.
Yes, Canada land is a delightful, typically. So yes.
It is. Even in the dystopias, like this, like Handmaid's Tale, Canada's all right.
Because they're sensible.
Yeah, got manners.
Yeah. It's the same. It's the same if the conservative overlords ever completely screw up England. Scotland will be the safe haven for anyone. It's true. You can try and deny it, but it's true.
No, it's true. Thank God we devolved enough shit to you.
I think then we will want to build a wall. I feel like there's a good reason to build a wall at that border. So anyway, yeah, Legends is good. That's just kind of
it is.
And I think that scene with Zari was really well done, and I think it's impressive that can come in an episode that has got a psychotic demonic unicorn and everything else that we're dealing with.
And at the end, Nate goes back to his dad's like, "Hey, let's have some beers. Let's try and actually talk and be normal."
And it's not drawn out. It's not a joke scene, and it's not like overly played for drama. It's just really straight to the point and simple.
Yeah.
And it sets up that maybe we'll see him again because it'll be relevant, in a few episodes' time. So, no, Legends of Tomorrow still winning, which will, and the hope of keeping this one shorter than last is probably diminished. We got through Arrow quite quickly, but Legends was another another 20 minutes. All right, then we will race over to The Flash, season 5, episode 3. It's called The Death of Vibe, so you can upsetting Connor with bad puns and segues is what fuels me as a person. It's what fuels my existence. Watching him roll his eyes as I made that bad racing over segue is like the highlight of my night.
And it was bad. It was really bad.
It was glorious, is what it was. So we. So first of all, there is a very casual Justice League reference at the start of this, which they brush over, but it felt very natural. The way she said it, she just said the League, but without getting into it.
I'm like, the League. There's a league.
Yes, there's a league. Yes, tell us more about that. Tell us more about that, XS.
It's coming at the end of this crossover.
Tell us more about that.
We're getting a league.
Do you know what's weird? Do you know what's weird about this? Is I had to think about her name there for a second, and it's because we were just talking about a Nora in the other show.
Like, it can't be Nora.
It can't be Nora. I've already used Nora. I'm like, oh, there's Noras and everything now. If it's the same, we get to Black Lightning, there's a Kara in that. At least with Supergirl, I can just call it Supergirl. But like, it's it's, all this cross pollination with names, making it difficult.
Dare they?
Anyway, so this was obviously we were getting Cicada stuff. Of course, she brings up that what's scary about him is that he was never caught, and Cisco calls him, oh, he's a Jack the Ripper, like a meta Jack the Ripper, and I thought, oh, okay, you know what? He still looks and sounds kind of silly, but that concept's not a bad idea. Like that thinking of him like that is the one who no one ever caught is kind of cool, and intimidating. So I'm okay, all right, and Nora has this plan that because they never contacted Her Wells, that'll be different, and that might save the day. And this was a fantastic.
Because we should point out Cicada's early.
He's early, yes. He's not supposed to show up for another few years. Yeah, but they call her Wells, and Cisco's not happy. He thinks it's a terrible plan because obviously Cisco spoke to him before, and he wasn't very nice to Cisco. So he's like, no, he's a jerk. He's an asshole. He's this. He's that. And then Her Wells immediately says, "The Flash with the zooming. Oh, I love the Flash. And little Kent Flash, and White Flash. Oh, you're so beautiful." And she's like, "Oh, thank you." And one by one, he compliments them all extremely. And then Cisco's just sort of sitting there, like frowning. He's like, "What is this shit?
I hate this guy.
What is this shit?" He's like, "Oh, I'm busy. I can't help you right now. But I'll give you information for the best detective in the multiverse." And I'm like, "Batman's coming? What's happening?"
In my head, Her Wells is smart enough to know that Cisco will have told them that he's a dick. So he's gone, I'm going to be really nice just to make him look even more like a dick.
Yes. Honestly, mopey drunk Cisco, who's upset about Gypsy, is still I'm still into it. He's still kind of funny. The way he's just been like pessimistic about everything's actually kind of working for me.
Yeah, me too.
But so they call Sherlock Wells.
Sherlock.
Well, yeah, Sherlock wants to correct it, but yes, but it's Sherlock, right? That's what it is. Yeah. I have to admit, like for the first couple of scenes, it took me a while to get what accent he was supposed to be doing. It was feeling a bit off, and I think part of it was because I assumed it was going to be British because it was Sherlock.
Okay.
And then
you were like, that doesn't sound like a really
yeah,
British accent.
It felt like it was a mix of like a European thing, but every so often it just sounded American, and I was like, what's going on with his accent here? And then when he pointed out it was Sherlock because it was French, I was like, oh, it's a French accent he's doing. And then it kind of clicked a bit more into place. It still doesn't sound great, though. It's still very comical and just kind of caricature French. But
oh, it's caricature French, but I never had quite the same problem that you did. I got what he was going for pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it's 'cause I was expecting an English accent. And when he started, phrasing it like he was, I was like, what's he doing? He's really bad at this.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I could do it better than that, and I'm not good at all. At least do just an over the top generic thing. If you can't, if you're coming out sounding half French, but no, it's fine. It's French. And I thought, do you know what? I was thinking he was a bit too goofy to be the one we're keeping for all season. Obviously, by the end, it seems like we are, but he felt a bit too goofy to begin with. But we find out later on that he's actually caught Cicada in like 36, 37 other
and
Earths.
This was the 37th. No, this would be the 38th.
And they're all pissed because he charged them because he's not doing it for free. He's charged them an exorbitant amount of money, and when they find out, he's basically just I just picked him because that was who it was in the other 37. There was no deduction. There is some fun stuff though, because he kind of like Iris is covering her shoulder. Must be a tattoo that was removed, maybe of an ex-lover. And Iris is like, just move the conversation quickly. And Barry's like, whoa, what?
I love how I was like shocked when she was engaged for the whole first season.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like he's like shocked almost. It's like, well, it doesn't seem that unreasonable.
I mean, it doesn't mean you know she's got a tattoo, especially since when they started dating, presumably. It's not like she hated Eddie after. It wasn't like they broke up. He died, so it's not like she would immediately go and get the tattoo removed.
That's true.
Is this something that Barry, like, it was there and he knew about it, and she, it's just something we didn't know about on the show, but that she got it removed like X amount of time into the relationship?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or was it like when she realised they're probably about to have sex, it's like, okay, it's time to go and get this removed, and make excuses for a few days while it heals. Like,
yeah. Do you know what the funny thing is? Like you say, for a few days.
Weeks,
Tattoo
whatever,
removal,
I don't know.
It's not even something you do in one go. It takes like 10 sessions.
Oh, really?
Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it takes like weeks to go over it and over it and over it to remove it.
I have never had a tattoo removed, or I've never had a tattoo either, for that matter. But
me either. But
so I never had one removed. All right, fine then. That's why I'm thinking it's not Eddie. I'm thinking it's like a more of a fling thing.
Eddie.
Yeah, that she wanted removed at an earlier age because it was like, oh, this is stupid. Why have I got, Benedict Cumberbatch's name on my shoulder? This is a bit irrelevant in the future.
You only said that because there was a Cumberbatch reference.
I did, but I mean, I was trying to think of a stupid name, and Cumberbatch is pretty stupid.
This is a pretty stupid name.
I went with it. It's fine. So they find this guy who would become Cicada, and he is evil, and he does have traps. And Nora's, making some stupid, rushed in choices, as we've been kind of saying, she's a little bit too quick. Do you know what I love about this though? Is every time Barry criticizes her or like complains to Iris that she's not thinking about things or whatever, every single time it's like you're describing you. Like you're describing you for most of the show. So you know what? This makes sense. This just makes it more believable that it's your daughter, quite frankly.
It does. Yeah.
So yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be questioning it. I mean, clearly she inherited all her brains from Barry.
We'll see. If she starts outsmarting Barry, then she's got some of her mum's brains in there.
Yeah, like they're buried deep right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's not working, and they're kind of trying to figure this out. And in the meantime, the real Cicada is which, by the way, Joe never standing up again this episode. I'm convinced he's not allowed to stand up for a while for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
But he was conveniently sitting down all the time in this episode again. But which is not a big deal. I noticed it, and now it's in my head. I'm just going to keep noticing it until he starts standing up again.
One day he'll just walk. You'll be like, whoa, he can walk.
Yeah, it's kind of like when sometimes like your actress will be pregnant and you have to hide the fact they're pregnant for a while. It's kind of like that. He's probably got a leg injury or something.
And then suddenly they're in a bikini and you're like, oh yeah, okay.
They had the kids
again now.
Yeah. So you'll be better at some point. You'll start walking around again. I just noticed it. I think because it's the second one in a row, and I already noticed it last week.
Yeah, it's just in your head now going in.
So I was really noticing it. And he's in a lot of tense scenes in this one because Cicada's got him, and he wants to get to Vibe, and he's like, tell me where Vibe is, you know him. And Joe's playing dumb as he is. And Cecile's still got her powers. She was taking that drug, I guess. I wonder if it's still back and forth. I wonder if it's kind of like phasing in and out.
Yeah, I mean, convenient that it happens to be there at that moment, and Joe doesn't question it.
I'm wondering though if that's like because it's like a heightened moment, like it's because like tensions are running high and it's like the adrenaline and everything is what spurs it on.
I got a feeling this is going to be one of those. Oh, she has it when we need her to have it. Situations.
Possibly. Well, I'm not going to I'm not going to chastise them over it yet because it's just been the once right now. If they get more concrete with the rules of it, then cool. But if they just kind of wave it in and out whenever it's convenient, then we'll call it out for what it is.
Which, I mean, is kind of Flash in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, it won't ruin anything for me, but I'm still going to call it out when it happens. So he's kind of got Joe for a while until Cecile kind of catches the whole thing happening, and that's when Cisco jumps in and Cicada just like jumps through the portal with them, like back through the same portal, and they end up in a forest. And that's when Sherlock kind of proves his worth because he kind of like, I need to listen to what are the trees like. Let me listen to the forest. Okay, cross-reference these things, and they find which forest he's in. And it's actually Nora has her kind of a shining moment because she actually thinks things through. Barry's losing because that's what he does, and Nora thinks, "Hey, what would work here?" And
in Barry's defense, he is down his speed.
True. Yeah, but he also rushed in knowing that his speed would get taken away.
Yeah, it's pretty hypocritical, isn't he?
He is.
Like literally, like 15 minutes before he gone, "Hey Nora, think about what you're doing before you do it."
Exactly. Yeah, but he doesn't, does he? But yeah, so they basically let him think that they've killed Cisco to the point where Barry and Iris think Cisco's dead for a brief moment. And then he like jumps out the portal and it's like nah. You know, so publicly Vibe is dead. You know, they're keeping that in the news and all the rest of it. And despite the fact that the disguise is terrible, they're just going along with the idea that no one knows he's really Cisco, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But we find out. So Joe kind of sussed that he's got a kid because of the way he was talking about family and the way he was kind of looking at the baby stuff. We see that he's got a sick daughter, who I'm going to assume was a bystander during a metahuman fight of some kind. That would be my guess.
So, given the way he hates Maz.
Yeah. He's also got an injury in his chest that's not healing, that's sort of glowing.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that we're seeing so much of him, given he's supposed to be the uber mystery. Like, oh, this is never solved. It's weird
That's the thing, though. I don't think it was him that was never solved. He's only Cicada now because Nora's changed the timeline. It was originally the other guy.
Okay. Even so, though, I think the allure of the story is still going along with that, and I feel like we're seeing a lot very early for that.
Sure, I mean, it's kind of weird, but I think that maybe the mystique they're going for is less the mystery and more the he's so powerful that no one was ever able to take him down. Because they say, you know, the League tried, the Legion tried, Supergirl tried. What about Green Arrow? Yeah, he's useless. And then, you know, that was the that was the scene.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think that's that weird. I feel like it's actually more interesting seeing something right now.
I'm not against seeing it. It just feels really early to be seeing it.
Yeah, I'm assuming that what he's got lodged in his chest is the same metal that his dagger is, and that's why I can control it.
That's why he can Mjolnir it around.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, he's acting still kind of over the top, but they're keeping him quiet long enough.
Yeah,
that it's not too bad.
No, you just get the breathing sound for most of it.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously there's the other plots we'll get to, and the other things that it hints at, like that Nora, like, you know, Wells is kind of like, hey, so, you know, you decided to intervene with the satellite at the end of last season on your own. That was like just you making that choice, and she's like, yeah, like, oh, of course it was, but
yeah,
the way she reacts when she turns around and the way he kind of looks over, it's like, no, there's more to this. There's someone else here, or someone she's confided in at the very least.
Yes, or so, and it sounds like maybe someone manipulating her.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
That was the impression I got from the way that Wells was saying it.
Yeah. So curious. So that's fine. We had the elongated man stuff where he goes and saves people, and he's upset that it becomes a meme because he's shaped like a pear, and then he's surprised that people think that's funny. And then he helps Caitlin, who finds out that their dad left a suicide note, but it was a code. It had because they had like a fake periodic table as a kid. They worked on together. It was a code that says, "Caitlin, come find me." So he's been waiting for 20 years to be rescued.
Poor bastard.
And Caitlin's been twiddling her thumbs, going, "Oh, I miss Killer Frost. I miss Killer Frost. My dad's been missing for 20 years." So that's the thing. I mean, the plot itself's not that great, but I think what's nice about it is that it's giving those two something to do separately. So they're not feeling wasted, but they're not also cluttering around the main plot unnecessarily.
It's very true. Their stuff's enjoyable enough. I think primarily because of the banter between them. The plot itself, yeah. Yeah,
Ralph using his stretch powers thinking he can get into the locked door with a keypad. And he drops
the lasers are there.
Yeah, he drops a Resident Evil movie reference, which I do not enjoy. Do not appreciate that one bit.
Love it.
But yeah, no, I mean, Flash has not floundered much yet. I don't think, but it didn't last year at this point either. Admittedly, it went downhill after Christmas. But
it's the same thing we said about Supergirl, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so far so good, but so was last year, and that's annoyingly going to be in my head for at least half the season.
Until we get past the point where it feels like, okay, we've outlived the goodness of last season. And
Yeah.
here's the weird thing, though. We're going to think as soon as a bad episode, oh, this is the start of the downfall. But then it may just spring back 2 episodes later, and it's fine for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
It could.
It could.
But we can only judge it based on kind of the past experiences. And last year, especially with Flash, Flash and Supergirl actually. But again, it's worth mentioning those were the 2 shows that were directly affected by the Kreisberg stuff. That said, Flash's plot didn't feel like it changed much, whereas Supergirl's did. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah. I think Flash's the biggest problem was the actor changing for the villain.
Yeah. Well, no, Flash's biggest problem was they repeated the same plot with Ralph and Barry for about 6 episodes.
But that was the first big problem.
Yeah.
Was because that was the start of. I can pinpoint that's when it started to go downhill. When you made your villain less interesting.
Well, it was just a twist that we were setting up Barry for his murder. That came out of nowhere at the end of the mid-season finale. Like, the mid-season finale was fine up until that point, and then it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What are we doing? He's going to prison?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is the weird thing. Cicada still looks rough. He still sounds stupid when he's speaking, but there is just enough presence, or maybe it's more so the mechanics of the plot and like how he's a threat to the team because they can't use their powers on him, because that's kind of how he.
I think it's probably that.
Yeah. It makes him interesting, and the way he kind of stands, because I mean, Cisco makes a Michael Myers reference at one point, and the idea that he's just a serial killer, he's just killing them. He's not got some. Maybe he does have some grand plan, but I think that's what makes it refreshing compared to last season, where the Thinker had all this convoluted plan that everything was going to fall into place, and even though at the end it felt like a completely different plan from the start, it was all the same convoluted thing from the get go, and it was all these moving parts. This feels a lot more simple, in that he's just going around killing people. And yeah, there might be a reason why he's doing it that'll help his daughter in some way, but other than that, it's just he's going around killing them.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I can appreciate the simplicity.
So,
see meta, kill meta.
See meta, kill meta. Maybe he's targeting specific metas. What's his connection to Nora? Because we had that moment between them last week that we should remind everyone of. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe he was the guy who convinced her to stop the satellite.
Maybe, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I don't see it yet, but I mean, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But yeah, so that's the Flash. Not bad. Okay, so final episode of the week then is Black Lightning, Season 2, Episode 3. It's called The Book of Consequences, Chapter 3, Master Lowrey.
Long title.
Not as much of Lowrey in the episode either that I would have thought there was going to be given the title.
No, you'd expect more.
I'm actually, like, I don't know if I'm surprised that he's a complete dickhead, but like I almost thought like the show might do the interesting thing where it's someone who will try to make this, like, you know, on the other end try and also make it a smooth transition, and someone who actually cared about the kids. But no, he's a straight up dickbag who's disrespectful. He reasserts his authority multiple times in the scene.
Yes, principal.
Yes, call me principal. Yes,
which is probably notable that the title doesn't use principal.
That's true. That is true. I mean, obviously the connotations of the word master, I think, are pretty obvious for anyone to decipher. But yeah, so a few moving things in this one. This is still doing our money stealing for the causes. Obviously, she's already helped with the lawyers, but we find out this clinic's shutting down, and she wants to help with that. So she goes back to the Reverend. Is like, hey, how much do you need? He's like, I mean, it's worth
300,000.
All right, and I like that she's asking Gambi for help about, you know, tracking down some, like, you know, drug dealers or gun runners or whoever to, like, steal from, but without telling him. And he's like, okay, what are you actually doing here? He's like, I'm not going to tell you because you're going to tell me if I was like I promise I won't. At least not before you do the thing. But if you're going to do something stupid, I'm still going to point it out and like try and stop you. And she's like, all right, fine. So he shows up with his sniper rifle and helps her rip off the mob.
Nifty little action sequence.
Yeah, nifty little action sequence. So we have that, and she just dumps the money again, and he's like, praise the Lord. I'm like, yes, the Lord. It's not Nissa. That's vigilante doing all this nonsense. But no, it's enjoyable.
It is.
Jennifer on the other side, she's starting to control her powers a little bit. She gives Nissa a little jolt.
A little finger shock.
She's like, I can control it in this finger so far. And I'm like, what's a start? Yeah. But our parents blindside her with a therapist who has powers, who can kind of take her into like a headspace to kind of like talk in private and try different things. So it's almost like a dream world where she can like think up things because she asked to make a box and she's like, what do you want it made of? And he's like, gold, diamonds, whatever. I can just do it.
Yeah.
And as I'll find, so here's what I was impressed with this. And I remember saying this a lot last season actually, where it almost felt like it was about to do the really annoying thing, and then it didn't.
Okay.
And I appreciated that. It was when the first time she runs into her and she realizes that her parents have set her up with this therapist. She storms out. They come home and she storms out into the front of the house, and she's like, "What the hell, guys? Like, you did this." And at first they're kind of sympathetic, but then they get really sort of stern with her because like, "Oh, don't speak to your mother that way." And I really thought the scene was going with them being mad at her and her storming off, or the typical drama escalation of the scene. And I wasn't necessarily like super against it, but I wasn't necessarily looking forward to it either. But instead, she kind of keeps making the points, enough to the point where Jefferson just gets it. He doesn't pull out the "I'm your father, shut up" card or anything like that.
Yeah.
He actually listens to what she's saying and understands why she feels that way, and outright apologizes and says it's all his fault. Like, the reason why she has powers is his fault. It's not on anyone else. And it just like it was a scene that I thought was going to go the very typical TV drama route, and instead ended with kind of a natural ending that made me. I mean, I don't know that I need any more reasons to like Jefferson because he's a pretty likable guy, but
he is. Yeah,
it gave me more reasons to like him as a parent in this scene.
As a parent, yeah. Okay.
And I liked that, so I give that a shot. And then we see some scenes where they're actually in the therapy and helping to try and control things and whatnot.
Yeah, she's very fiery.
Very fiery, yes, very fiery. So you had that. You had Khalil, who's working for Tobias, and Tobias is teaching all sorts of weird lessons by making him hold paper while it's been set on fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure Tobias has ever had an apprentice before. This all feels kind of random.
Well, he's kind of replacing cyanide, so I assume. I don't know if he had like a period of this with cyanide, or if cyanide was just always with him. Well, she couldn't have been because he's been around for a long time.
He has, yeah. I feel like for some reason, I feel like he picked up cyanide already, kind of.
Yeah.
More well adjusted than this.
Yeah, I think it's different though because he's kind of a pet project, and he gave Khalil his powers and his legs, right? So it's kind of like, okay, I own you because you owe me for everything everything I've done, and that's kind of his attitude. And he sends him off, and Khalil ends up killing a guy, one of the drug dealers who was late on.
Yeah, it just pulls him down a floor.
Yeah, because the other guys are making fun of him for oh, you were running track, now you're in a wheelchair, now you're thinking you're a gangster, and he kind of like lashes out a little bit. But I say a little bit, he kills a guy. But you know what I mean, right? So we have that. But the interesting thing here though is that at the end of the episode, they catch Tobias. The police get him.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this to me is that, from my perspective, it looked like he wanted to be caught. The way, because see the scene before when he was leaving his place, and he said to, Painkiller Khalil, he said to him, "Hey, do I look good?" And he's like, "Yeah, you look good." It felt like he was getting ready to be taken in. Like he wanted to be taken.
Oh, he definitely is. We have the scene. We have a couple of scenes between Henderson and Jefferson. Over at the house, and he goes, "Hey, if you're getting this close to Tobias, then something has changed because he's been going for years, and no one's had it ever come close, and now all of a sudden,
yeah."
So it's even they're aware that he probably wants this.
This is somehow part of his crazy plan, whatever it might be. Yeah. But yeah, but when the scene's really well shot, I like the scenes with Jefferson and Henderson. This idea that the rift's still there. Yeah. He's not in good terms with him, but he still wants to use his abilities and help.
Yeah, and he's like, Black Lightning's still useful, so I can't ignore you. If anything, this makes it slightly easier because I can kind of go, hey, you do what I say as Black Lightning, otherwise, you're in the shit.
Yeah, I never says anything like that, but it's
implications there.
It's there, but So and there's a lot of different stuff with Jefferson. Obviously, meeting the principals one, and doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, he is as a drug addict girl, a green light victim at the start, who's about to throw a dumpster at the cops, and Black Lightning intervenes and takes care of that. It's a decent little sequence, and that's kind of going. Nyssa goes back to Grace and kind of sparks up. Grace is still pretty pissed at her, but she kind of sparks up a bit of a conversation about possibly having more of a serious relationship, which she seems a bit more receptive of. A lot of moving parts in this one. I feel like there was a lot of little things kind of.
There is, and this is how I felt about this show for a lot of last season.
Yeah.
The individual episodes typically didn't stand out that much in my memory.
No, that's true. It's very much one whole, and that's about it.
Yeah, and that's not a negative, but it feels more like something I'm used to seeing on a streaming service where I get this all at once as a binge-style thing. It feels unusual to get this weekly, especially on the CW.
Yeah, and then the final plot we didn't talk about was Lynn, who she's been granted like a colleague to help with the pod people, but they're giving her someone who's been locked up in prison for doing shady experiments that led to 10 people losing their feet and the death of 11th person. Because that's what she corrects her, because Lynn says 11 people lost their feet, and she's like, no, 10 lost their feet. The 11th one died. I'm like, okay. And Lynn's not happy about this at all. And when the woman agrees to work, she's got like a tracker in her foot where if she steps over a certain boundary, her body just falls. It disables her.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, all right.
It was almost comical.
It was almost comical. I'm curious about this though, because I think Lynn's getting more of a proper solo plot this year, seemingly.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And because she's involved in the main plot in her own way, where she's using her skills as a scientist, and I think giving her this wild card partner who could be very dangerous is definitely giving her own drama there, because everyone's kind of got their own things going right now, as well as being a family, obviously.
They do. Lynn was the one who stood out for quite a while in not having that.
Yeah, she felt kind of like the fourth one who, out of the family unit. She was the fourth one who didn't seem to have much of her own stuff. Whereas this year it feels like she's got arguably some of the more interesting stuff. So
definitely, yeah.
Although that's not to say that any of them have weaker stuff. I think all four of them, to varying extents.
Everyone's pretty interesting.
Yeah, none of them have like a bad plot.
It makes it feel like there's not a huge amount of progression in the episode individually. Because it's kind of scattered, right? Everyone feels quite equal in this episode. It doesn't feel like that's the main plot.
It does, yeah. Because the traditional thing to do is to make one person feel like the A plot, give some person a decent amount of time, call it a B plot, and then the other two would maybe just get a little bit, and that's it.
Yeah, and then you kind of just rotate through.
Yeah, exactly. But here we're, at least so far this season, it's been very evenly spread out between the four of them. Which has got its pros and cons. On the one hand, each episode feels, like you say, less sort of defined as an episode and more as just part of a whole.
But on the other hand, it makes it feel very consistent.
And equal.
It makes it feel that in the future, when the show's finished after however many seasons, you sit down and watch the whole thing through, it's going to flow so well.
Yeah. And not that this is a big concern, but let's say, because we like all four of the family characters, and we like Tobias as a villain, but let's say one of them was weak. There was a weak link. It being even every week would mean that, oh no, it's only ever 20% at most.
It's a double-edged sword, because it would be, well, it's only ever that much, but you never, and you don't have to go through, oh, this is their episode, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you never get that week where, oh, they're only the tiny bit, they're only in 2 scenes, I don't need to worry about them this week. There's always going to be a set amount of them.
Yeah, but luckily that's not the case. But on the flip side, on the same kind of argument, if you have a favourite, if some people are really into one character, you always get that character. You never, not getting your favourite.
But you maybe don't get as much as you want.
Potentially. Yeah. Look at you on the negative side. There was no negative to that one. But
No. I was just devil's advocate, being even.
Ah, jeez.
Balanced argument.
Sometimes you'll play devil's advocate in the face, when it's unnecessary. In the face of enjoyment, you'll play devil's advocate when it's irrelevant to play devil's advocate. Just so you can put in a slightly negative twist on something.
Yeah.
Alright. That was the final show, and it was solid.
It was solid. It
was a pretty solid. Obviously, we don't like Arrow that much. In Titans, again, had promising elements, but out of the other 4 shows, very consistently solid this week.
It was. I'm pretty happy overall.
No stinkers, which is nice.
No.
That's really nice. Which is why at this point of the show, we pick our favourite episode of the week. And, maybe, I mean, it's not really that much of a debate. I know we're both going to pick Legends, but,
yeah, we are.
Like it's not like, there's nothing that could, like, compete with Legends necessarily this week, right?
It's not, like, head and shoulders above it.
No, it's not.
It's pretty comfortably above it, but that's just because it's awesome.
It was a great return.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it started like 2 weeks later than 2 of the shows, because it does mean that it'll be on for a bit longer than I'd have expected.
Yeah. It didn't have to share its returning triumph with any of the others. It got a week to itself.
I mean, all the other shows were on that week, as opposed to...
Yeah, but it got a week to itself to be, this is the new one.
Okay. All right. But no, it was gold. So Legends wins episode of the week.
That might be a familiar sentence that you hear for the next
very
few
possibly
months.
But every so often you'll get a Flash time, or you'll get the Supergirl refugee ship one, or you'll get
they happen.
Yeah.
Legends occasionally has an off episode. I think it had like 2 off episodes last season.
Yeah. But Black Lightning is always solid, so
it's always dependable.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, I out of those 4, I have no complaints yet. Titans could be promising. Arrow's just still Arrow, whatever. But
Arrow's Arrow. We know what we're getting with that one.
But hey, all right, that is the show. That is television from the multiverse, and it is worth me telling you to check out Comics from the Multiverse, which is a DC Comics podcast that we do. It's both of us plus Matt, and we talk about the comics every week. You can, of course, tell us what you thought about the episode of TV this week in the comments, like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us in the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates, or at DC Comics Podcast if you want DC Comics stuff specifically. You can get me on Twitter at Wibble89. You can get Connor at ConnorRyan94. And perhaps more important than any of this, if you want to support the show and support the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv, and you can get some stuff early, you get some bonuses, you get to feel warm and fuzzy inside. But you can support us over there for as little as $1 per month, should you wish to. But so have a look, see. But that's us. That's TV from the Multiverse. Was this split in 2 on the audio? I don't think I had to. I think I can just squeeze it in, but
it might have been. You'll already know by this point.
That's true. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. And I know that Nate gave me an alternate version of the phrase in this one, but I'm sticking to the original.
Oh, just the once. Come on.
I'm sticking to the original.
Just the once.
I don't like magic. You know I don't like magic. I'm not saying
I know, but that wasn't saying... It wasn't using it in that sense.
I know, but I like the regular phrase. So as always, sometimes we screw things up for the better.